When creating my short film poster, and film magazine review, it was highly important that there was a coherence between the three products so that they are recognizable. It was also important that although there may be similarities between the three products, that each were also unique so they offered a fresh perspective into the product, therefore keeping my audience interested. A main element of my film was the relationship dynamic between my characters Fia and Max. It was important that this was evident throughout my ancillary tasks. For my film poster, I created a lot of negative space with Fia and Max's heads emerging from the darkness side by side, as you can see here. I purposefully had their heads touching to depict how Fia has manifested Max as being a real person and that he is a projection of her thoughts. In my film review, I purposefully wrote in the plot that troubled teen Fia goes head to head with her co-star, so that not only would it mirror what they were physically doing in the film poster, but give the audience a hint of what might really be going on in the short film. The colour scheme in my poster is mainly black and white, with a hint of blue, as I personally think that creating a contrast is extremely eye-catching. However, for my film magazine review, it was more important to incorporate a variety of colours, as it needs to pop out and stand out in an entire magazine. Therefore, I added some burgundy tones and some blue tones as well as a lot of white and black to have some correlation with my film poster. The title of my short film is a mixture between both my ancillary tasks, showing a clear coherence between my three products. Firstly, I've used the same font for my title Petal in my film poster and short film, as you can see. I've also used a colour gradient, making the colours out on both my short film and film poster. However, a difference between my film poster and short film title is that the font is grey in my film poster and burgundy in my short film. This was essential as I wanted some aspects of my products to be unique. Although the font for the title Petal in my magazine review differed from my other products, it is the same colour as the title in my short film. This again shows how my products are interlinked. The main image in my magazine review is of Fia and Max sitting eating dinner, where Fia looks frightened and Max looks uninterested and uncomfortable. My intention was to illustrate these emotions in my film poster, but by using different images, I have kept my ancillary tasks noticeably different. An identifiable aspect of my products is its association with a flower. As my short film was called Petal, it was important that my audience understood the deeper meaning of that. In my film poster, the title is a large aspect in bold capital letters, and above it says, "Eventually all flowers will." This shows how naming the film Petal was a metaphor for so much more. I wanted to show how Fia wants to seem like she is perfect to keep up her facade, but that it is impossible and she needs to come to terms with the fact that she is finding life tough. As you can see here, there are flowers and Fia's putting on lipstick, which is at the beginning of the film when you don't know what is happening and everything seems vaguely okay. This shows how the flower metaphor runs throughout my different products, showing how the combination of my ancillary tasks and short film is effective regarding my flower metaphor. As my main character Fia is so complex, I needed to represent her carefully throughout my media products. It is important to me that despite the fact Fia is made to seem vulnerable in front of the audience, especially as it appears she is in a mentally and physically abusive relationship, that she is also portrayed as strong for coping and getting through life. In my film poster, I made sure that she was in it as equally as much as Max, so that she visually seemed on the same level of importance as him. In my magazine review, the second photo I used was just of her with a text wrap around it, so it covered some of the main photo, again highlighting how she is of great importance. Laura Mulvey argued that films are male-dominated and controlled the action. However, in my short film, Fia controls the action and is responsible for moving the narrative along. She's also not passive throughout the film, and she speaks her mind despite the fact she is clearly distraught. I try to make this clear throughout my products to represent Fia fairly, as I am very aware that due to the fact Max has a beard and is wearing dark clothing, he comes off as being very dominant. As much as that was my intention for the intensity of the short film, I don't want the audience to jump to conclusions from Max's initial appearance. By using a photo of my characters at the dinner table in my magazine review, it reveals that the dinner scene is pivotal in my short film. This is because you can clearly see wine glasses that represent maturity, which goes against a typical representation of young adults who typically drink spirits and beer in more of a party scenario. I wanted to make the dinner scene feel too forced and mature for the character's age, which should be a subtle clue to the audience that something is not quite normal about the relationship between the two characters. This, combined with my dark and ominous film poster, gives hints that there are very serious tones within my short film, demonstrating how the combination of my products are effective as they complement each other at the same time as being distinctive in their own right. My three texts combine to appeal to my target audience. The demographic group I am appealing to is around the age of 18 to 25. This is because, following the reception theory, The way individuals receive and interpret media is due to their individual circumstances. Therefore, if my audience is similar in age to my characters, it is more likely that they will decode my products correctly. Also, it's more likely that this demographic will engage in a film about abusive relationships. In my film poster, you can clearly see that my characters are young adults, and that the film is quite serious due to the darkness. If you were then to watch the film, the first scene immediately sets the tone for the rest of the film. These dark and ominous tones are also present in my film magazine review, as I have captioned a small photo of my actress, the face of despair, and the main photo is a still of a very uncomfortable and tense scene between my characters. The fact that my three texts work together to give off this impression again depicts how I'm constantly trying to appeal to my demographic and therefore make the audience more compelled to watch the film. This is because my film is essentially about relationships which everyone can relate to, no matter what age or what class you may be. Therefore, it is difficult to pinpoint exactly who my audience may be. This is why my film poster and magazine review aren't too niche, as I thought it was best to try and appeal to a broader audience and not close off my film to a very specific group. This is also because it will appeal to not only just my target audience, but anyone who has experienced an abusive relationship with a significant other and also with themselves, as primarily my film is about someone who has fabricated an imaginary person. I think that this shows that the combination of my short film with my ancillary tasks is very effective, as not only do my ancillary tasks appeal to my target audience, but the subtleness and also simplicity will make them appeal to a broader audience as well. Overall, I think that my three products work together very well, but also individually have a unique quality about them. It was important to show in my products that my film is essentially about two young adults clearly in distress, and I tried to depict it slightly differently in my ancillary tasks to keep my products interesting.